This is the report for project number 1, class section 6, report on India. The purpose of this report is to provide the Vice President with a comprehensive and polished analysis that will support their decision on introducing our products into India. This report was created by Bradford Foster, Colby Green, Regan Lee Harris, Lua Ruth Machi, Kelly Norton, Lufangula, Robert Kanyesa, and myself, Philip Craig Thompson.
India has a power distance index score of 77, which means that hierarchy is significant in their culture. People usually accept that power isn't shared equally and classes are clearly defined. The US, while it relies on structure in most instances, is more relaxed with a PDI score of 40. Workplaces are more equal with the formulations of employees' rights and unions. With a score of 24 on the individualism versus collectivism scale, India is a mostly collectivist society. Loyalty to family, coworkers, and community comes before self. Team unity is very important. The US, on the other hand, is more of an individualistic society with a Hofstede score of 60. Where India places the success on a group or collective, people in the US place a high value on personal achievement and independence. India has a score of 56 in Hofstede's motion towards achievement and success, the MAS scale. This means that ambition and success are big motivators for what someone does and why they do it. The US is about the same with a score of 62 on the MAS scale. We are also very achievement driven. Success is usually measured by performance and results. Because success is often defined by achievement, this can also mean that conflict is not only expected, but sometimes necessary. India scores on the lower side of the Uncertainty Avoidance Index, which is the UAI, with only 40 points, which means that they will generally accept change and uncertainty. If things don't go as planned, the people of India will generally adapt their actions to try to make the best of it. The US also scores relatively low on this scale at a 46. Our society is comfortable with ambiguity and often open to innovation and risk-taking. Americans tend to be more tolerant of differing ideas and generally will accept the expression of opposing viewpoints. As far as long-term orientation goes, India scores 51 and the US scores 50, so they are very similar. Traditions and values still matter a lot in India, but there's also a practical side that focuses on problem solving and adapting when needed. Being a little late on a deadline is not looked down upon as much as it would be in Western society. Americans also balance short and long-term thinking. The largest difference is that American business measures performance on a short-term basis, which can be shown by financial statements being issued every quarter. India's low score of 26 on Hofstede's indulgence scale means that their culture is more restrained. People tend to follow rules, practice self-control, and place a higher priority on responsibilities before leisure. The US has a higher score of 68 on that scale. There's a bigger focus on enjoying life, having fun, and self-expression. While responsibility is somewhat prioritized, it appears that doing what one wants to do is more likely to be prioritized over what someone needs to do.
The United States is a very low context communication culture. This means that the US is very simple and clear and doesn't have any hidden meanings. The US means what they say and says what they mean. However, India is a pretty high context communicators. This often means that you have to read between the lines in spoken or written messages and not everything is laid out for you. The United States and India are very similar in terms of evaluating indirect negative feedback and direct negative feedback. The US is a slightly more towards direct negative feedback, and India is slightly more towards indirect negative feedback. Direct negative feedback wants to spread desired feelings and information about a situation. They often seem blunt or rude because they don't want misinterpretation. Indirect negative feedback allows people to use their own interpretation to figure out the meaning of the message. People are meant to figure out their shortcomings themselves without being told directly. Again, the United States and India are pretty similar in terms of confrontational versus non-confrontational in disagreements. The US is slightly on the side that views debate and direct negative feedback as a good thing. It helps push other workers and it won't impact the relationship. India is slightly on the indirect negative feedback side that believes the debate is negative for a company and it potentially could break the group or impact relationships. The United States and India differ again, though, in scheduling culture. The United States is very linear, meaning that project steps are meant to be completed one at a time in order. They encourage you to stick to the deadline and prioritize promptness over flexibility. India is very flexible. Next section.
When it comes to negotiating in India, relationships come first. Building trust is essential before moving into agreements. Conversations must move at a slower pace, and bargaining can shift by as much as 40% between the first offer and the final deal. That's why patience isn't just valued, it's required. Communication is usually polite and indirect. A simple yes may mean hesitation rather than agreement. So careful listening and watching body languages are important. Sensitive matters should be handled privately to maintain respect. Delays or revisiting earlier points are common, but this reflects respect for hierarchy and careful decision-making by senior leaders, not a lack of interest. The best way to approach this is with flexibility, persistence, and respectful attitude. Doing so builds credibility, creates stronger long-term relationships and partnerships. Next.
India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic where leaders are elected by the people and must answer to parliament. The government functions through three branches: the executive, with the president as the head of state, and the prime minister and council of ministers driving policy. The legislature, which includes the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and the judiciary, which serves as an independent court system. Currently, the BJP leads the government through a coalition shapes both economic and social priorities. The 2025 union budget emphasized tax relief for the middle class, rural growth, support for small and medium enterprises, major infrastructure investment, and export promotion. For business, India offers political stability and ongoing reforms that create opportunities in manufacturing, green energy, and digital infrastructure. At the same time, regional disparities, uneven investments, and labor challenges mean companies must plan carefully to succeed. Next slide. In India, or in 2025, India's economic freedom score on the index is 53.0, ranking 128th out of 184 countries. This places India in the mostly unfree category, both globally and regionally. There are some clear strengths. Government spending supports infrastructure and social programs. The tax burden is moderate, and the digital reforms have made it easier to start and run businesses. Inflation is also being kept at a manageable level. At the same time, weaknesses present challenges. Courts are slow and make contract enforcement unreliable. Fiscal deficits remain high, and the banking sector is still heavily state controlled. Property rights are weak, tariffs average around 17%, and corruption, rigid labor laws, and investment restrictions add further risk. For foreign companies, India is both high potential and high risk. Success requires patience, trusted local partners, and strong risk management to navigate these obstacles while taking advantage of growth and opportunities. Next.
A doing business score measures the level of regulatory performance over time. The scale is from 0 to 100, 100 being the best. The OECD average is 91.3. The doing business score for India in 2019 was 67.5. The score went up to 71 in 2020. India ranked 136 starting a business in 2020. This was a 0.06% up from the prior year. India ranked 115 in paying taxes in 2020, a 2.2% increase from the prior year. The OECD average is 84.3. The percentage of profit that India pays in taxes is 21.6%. India pays 20.2% of profit in labor, tax, and contributions, and other taxes 7.9%. India has a score of 85 on their tax payments, a score of 68.3 on their payments made on time, a score of 65.8 for their total tax and contribution rate, and a score of 49.3 on their post-filing index. India ranked 163 in contract enforcement, staying at the same rank in 2020 and 2019. The OECD average is 46. India received a score of 0 for their time it takes. India received a score of 65.2 for their cost and a score of 58.3 for their quality of judicial processes index. Next.
Awesome. So for import tariffs and free trade agreements, international trade has often used the term most favored nation. This is just giving a country or company legal rights to have the same trade terms as all of their partners. So this encourages countries to have mutually beneficial trades and offers for both parties. India has a lot of valuable items that are tariffed with different percentages. So there's coal, natural gas, gold, and many others. India has a free trade agreement with many countries in the same region. Australia, the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam are just examples of that. In terms of importing tariffs, part of my recommendations is to have the finished goods be a part of it. It takes advantage of the relationships that they have with those other countries for their free trade agreements. This is able to lead India to have a better flow for their government because it has a lot of control in the nation itself. And we can move on to the next section here with the foreign direct investment. So foreign direct investment creates a stable international economic links and benefits both investors and host countries. Back to what I was mentioning about the free trade agreements, having this work well together coincides both the businesses and the country of the people. When India offers financial incentives, they're based on performance. And so they have a lot of deals done with countries nearby. For example, they have one with China where it has fueled their influx of FDI targeting the nation's high-tech manufacturing and services. When we're using FDI, this helps build a strong and mutual beneficial relationship for the world and the countries nearby. As in terms of recommendations and strategies that we have, it's offering greater benefits to less developed countries so that they can mutually grow and have better incentives and growth within the nations and the relationships given. Next section.
The current economic conditions in India can be better understood by looking at four main indicators. These four are the gross national income per capita, the GDP growth rate, inflation rate, and lending interest rates. Taking together, these show how strengths and weaknesses of India's economy and help give an idea of how a new business might perform. Between 2019 and 2024, India's GNI per capita went up from $2,070 to $2,650 annually. The only decline came in 2020 when it dropped to $1,900, and this is most likely due to the COVID-19 pandemic, since the GNI has risen every year. Other than that, India's GDP growth rate started at 3.9% in 2019, but in 2020, it fell sharply to negative 5.8%. That was almost certainly because of the pandemic as well. The economy recovered quickly, though, hitting 9.7% growth in 2021. India's inflation rate was 2.4% in 2019, but shot up to 8.4% in 2021. That was a big jump. Since then, it has come back down, reaching about 3.2% in 2024. Unlike the other data that I was able to find, lending interest rates were only available from 2018 to 2022. During that time, they fell from 9.5% to 8.6%. That's still pretty high, but the downward trend is encouraging. Looking at all these indicators, we see an economy that is growing and giving people more buying power. This creates opportunities for new businesses. The main problems are inflation, high interest rates, but both are getting better. This means India could be a favorable place to expand, especially for companies that sell directly to consumers. A big population and rising incomes can create some serious demand.
Paper currency. The Indian rupee declined exactly at 23.6% against the US dollar from 2021 to 2025. That means 72 to 99 per $1. Cause includes higher India inflation, rising oil prices, and US interest rates, drawing investment away from India. Rupees decline lowers local costs for US investors, but rise import prices and making locally produced goods more competitive. Next slide.
Our first product is a reusable water bottle with a strap. India's ban on single-use plastics has created demand for reusable products. The current market is split between very cheap bottles that break easily and expensive ones out of reach for many families. That leaves a gap for something durable, practical, and affordable. Currently, Indian brands like Milton and Cello dominate this product locally, while international names like Tupperware and Camelback target higher income buyers. Most either focus on low cost or high-end markets, which leaves us with a middle class that is unmet and underserved. Our temporary advantage would stand out by balancing quality with affordability, a strong, reliable strap, designs that reflect local culture, and local material sourcing would set it apart and keeps costs down. A few cultural issues. Families are highly price conscious. Colors and designs must be chosen carefully to avoid offense. And trust with our customers is built when our product is proven to be durable, affordable, and easy to clean. Next product. Product number 2 is electric scooters and e-bikes. The unmet need is traffic. Fuel costs and pollution are daily problems in India. Two-wheelers are already the most common transport. Affordable electric scooters provide a cheaper, cleaner alternative that fits the crowded roads. Ola Electric, Hero, and Ather lead in our competition, while TVS, Honda, and Yamaha also compete with us. Most focus on urban higher income buyers, leaving smaller towns and middle-class households underserved. A lower cost scooter designed for short commutes and narrow roads would fill this gap. Local sourcing of parts lowers costs and makes repairs easier for families. Starting in semi-urban markets where competition is lighter gives us space to build loyalty early. The cultural issues are price is the biggest concern, especially if families are having to charge them in smaller communities. Charging stations aren't always available. And then the battery safety is a big concern with families in India. We would have to make sure that batteries are safe and that we earn trust. Product number 3, portable water purifiers. India faces a water crisis that causes nearly 200,000 deaths each year and millions of illnesses. The purifier market is growing, but most products target wealthier urban households. Rural and semi-urban families remain underserved. Companies like Eureka, Forbes, and Kent dominate the market, but focus on larger and more expensive systems. What sets our purifiers apart is the use of customizable cartridges that can target common local contaminants such as arsenic, bacteria, or fluoride. Along with that, the purifiers would be portable, gravity-fed, and available in different sizes. Small for students, mid-size for families, or larger models for schools or workplaces. India more commonly shops in small local shops, so offering affordable replacement filters sold through these businesses would make them both accessible and practical for long-term use. A few cultural issues. Price sensitivity is strong, so the purifier must be affordable to buy and maintain. Families often make purchase decisions together, so marketing should appeal to the whole household. And then regional languages and localized advertising would be a plus with marketing.
So we are excited about the possibilities that exist for us to enter the market in India. There will be challenges ahead, but we are optimistic about our ability and the abilities of the good people of India to work together. The products that we've presented here can do a lot of good for the people of India, but also the economic growth that comes from manufacturing and trading will do good as well. We hope that the information provided here is substantive and helpful in making a decision to move forward into India. And we thank you for your time.